and good morning. It is Friday morning. It is 9:30 a.m. Eastern or 9:31 a.m. Eastern, which means it's time for Freedom Friday. One of the highlights of my week is spending some time here with you, and I am eternally grateful that you choose to spend even a fraction of your week here with me on these Freedom Friday live streams. Before we get started, look on the bottom of the screen, text authority to 55678, and there is a plethora of goodies for you there. I have a number of webinars, how to level up on LinkedIn, 4 pillars of building an authority brand. And if you go there, there's a link to subscribe to my brand spanking new. It's about a month old Authority Brand Podcast. We're growing with listeners around the globe. Now, some housekeeping things out of the way, but this is important. If you are joining us today, I challenge you right now, not just on this live stream, but in life today, don't just be a lurker. Life is about engaging. So how can you engage right now? Click the like button. Wherever you're watching, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, click that like button. It helps us spread our message of gratitude, freedom, abundance, and authority branding around the globe. And then jump in, share your name, your city, your state, your town, your country, your continent, where in the world you're joining us from, and at least one thing you are grateful for today. Hell, I'm not moving forward on today's live stream until I see some comments, some likes. Who are you? Where are you joining us from? Let's grow that global community. We regularly on this live stream, it's incredible, have people from around the world join us. So where are you joining us from? Who are you? And what are you grateful for today? Let's see who is joining us this fine Friday morning. Woke up this morning. It was pretty darn stormy here, but that is fine because the storms bring the rain, which allow everything here to grow. And so I'm grateful for the rain today because I know what comes after the rain, the green grass, the growth, everything looks so green. We have these resurrection ferns on our oak trees that are incredible. When we don't have rain for a while, they're brown, they look dead, and then it rains and voila, they've come back to life. So who are you? Jump in. Don't be afraid. Name, city, state, town. Where in the world are you joining us from? And at least one thing you're grateful for this morning. And I urge you every morning, and you know what? If you listen to my podcast, if you watch this live stream on a regular basis, you've heard this before. But you know what? I got to remind myself every single day of this single fact. When you wake up in the morning, maybe your eyes aren't even open. That conversation you have with yourself each and every morning is one of the most important conversations you will have throughout the day. And it's so easy to look at those things you have to do. Oh, I have that conference call with that jerk. Oh, I have that meeting, yada, yada, yada. Oh my gosh, COVID, I hate it. Oh, political this, that, and I can't stand it anymore. Instead of that, wake up in the morning and ask yourself 2 simple questions. First question is, what's awesome about today? Second question is, what will make today even more awesome? These 2 simple questions, I challenge you. When you wake up first thing in the morning, those are the 2 questions you ask yourself. And the conversation, that conversation you have with yourself is the most important of the day, certainly one of the most important of the day. And it will set you up for a day of gratitude. It'll set you up for a day of abundance. The alternative is setting yourself up for a day of scarcity where, oh my gosh, we focus on everything that's going wrong in the day, everything that's going wrong in the world. Instead of that, what's awesome about today and what will make today even more awesome? You know what that second question does? It acknowledges that everything in the world, everything in your day, everything in your life isn't awesome. But instead of saying this sucks, you say, what can make it even more awesome? You know, start with the fact that you're above ground instead of 6 feet under. Kim from Charlotte, North Carolina, right? She's grateful that she has a date night with her honey tonight. Let's start there. What awesome is happening today? I've spent some quality time with my family already this morning. Woke up today. It was dark. It was stormy. I had wanted to go out for a walk, wanted to get some sun. I don't know if that's going to happen today. It's easy to focus on that. But instead, I focus on, one of the things I focus on every Friday is spending time with you. I don't care if we have 2 people joining. I don't care if we have 30 people joining. My goal with this live stream is to positively impact at least one person every morning. We got Dr. Alex Jones from Dubai joining. Hello, Dr. Alex. Great 2 questions to start with. I like them. Thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate that, Dr. Alex. And whether you're joining us again on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter, you know the drill, and maybe you don't. Maybe you've never watched before. Welcome. If this is your first time joining, welcome back. if you are a repeat joiner. And those of you who join on a regular basis know the drill. Use that like button, engage, interact. Jump in, share your name, your city, your state, your town, your country, your continent, where in the world you're joining us from. Today, we got someone from Charlotte. We got someone from Dubai. We really get people from Mexico, Brazil. We get people from the Midwest, the West Coast, the East Coast, etc. I appreciate that, Dr. Alex. And so join in and let us know at least one thing you're grateful for this morning. So we're going to get started right now. And we're going to talk about branding today. You know, the interesting thing about branding, I've been on a lot of podcasts recently, and we talk about building that brand. But you know what? Branding is about more than just selling a product or a service. Branding is about being able to express your inner creativity. And that creative flow is key to living a life of freedom and fulfillment. By the way, I'm going to stop here because we got James from Vermont. What's going on, James? I appreciate you joining us today. James, what's at least one thing you're grateful for this morning? I'm grateful you're here today, James. But we're talking about the fact that branding goes so much deeper than just selling a product or service or promoting it or all that stuff. Branding is the expression of who you are. Because if you are in a business, if you've started a business, whatever it is, that business started out as a thought, which turned into an idea, and your business is the manifestation of that idea. When you build a brand, your brand is housed in those ideas because it's within those ideas that you know, and you have those ideas, those creative ideas for how you are going to impact positively the life of someone else. That's what a business is all about. And that's what branding is all about. So to me, I get so passionate about helping people build their authority, brand exposure to the right clients, because not only am I helping them build prosperity, build revenue, build a business, but I'm helping them express those ideas that they have, because that creative flow is so very important to living a life of fulfillment. A lot of people get stuck without being able to. They're afraid of expressing those ideas, afraid of what other people will say about them. They spend their life imitating other people, trying to mimic other people. That's not real authenticity. And there's 4 pillars of building an authority brand. The first is attention. That's the most obvious. And unfortunately, that's where people start and stop. It's accuracy, which means you're bringing your message. You know specifically who your ideal client is. It's alignment. You have that impact story, that message that aligns, what you do, but more importantly, what's the positive impact your product or service has on your clients. And the fourth is authenticity. And so if you are not truly expressing your creative ideas, if you spend your time imitating someone else, you're not being truly authentic. And you build authenticity by showing up on a regular basis, consistently, truthfully, factually, maybe pair it with third-party credibility. And so you're consistently delivering the right message to the right clients to generate more leads, which helps you build more revenue. And I did a poll last night here on LinkedIn. I'm going to share my screen here. And, that poll, let's see if I can get it right here. I got to hit some things here. So you can see the poll here. And I'm getting some messages here. So if you look at my poll here, you can see that what's your biggest branding and sales challenge right now? Now, 40%, this was overnight, we had 20 votes. 40% of people said their biggest branding and sales challenge right now is right message. So they don't have that right message. And as I said earlier today, that right message, you know what that right message absolutely has to do? That right message does not involve you verbally vomiting everything that makes you unique, all your bells, your whistles, your bullet points, all over your potential client as soon as you meet them. That is the biggest temptation we as business owners have. We have a lot of competition. And so as soon as we meet someone, we want to let them know how special we are, how passionate we are, how smart we are, how knowledgeable we are. We want to tell them about every bell and whistle that we have for our product or service. And you know what that does? It overwhelms your client, because your client wants to know, first and foremost, right up front, what's in it for me. So that right message has to be something that speaks to the impact, the positive impact that they get from working with you. So I'm working, for instance, with a high-end elite personal trainer. And his temptation, he's about 40 years old. He's not some muscle-bound guy that just is going to help you squat or deadlift 600-700 pounds. He works with high-achieving folks who are in their 50s or 60s, right? These are not people who want to have the veins popping out. And so he always felt it necessary, as soon as he met you, whether it's in person or online, to tell you everything that differentiates him from his competitors. And he would overwhelm his potential clients. It's easy to do. I work with a lot of financial advisors, and they want to tell you right up front how smart they are, how knowledgeable they are, how passionate they are. In fact, if you look at their LinkedIn profiles, I'm passionate about blah, 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 blah. No one cares. Your clients want to know how you're going to positively impact them. So you got to come up with that impact story in one sentence. One sentence. For instance, the elite personal trainer with whom I work, instead of saying I'm an elite personal trainer who does his one sentence impact story is this: I help high achieving executives look better, feel better, and move better. Boom, right there and then. Now that starts the conversation in which you're going to add your potential clients going to say, well, how do you do that? What you reply is, well, why don't we have a discussion? Why don't you tell me about some of your challenges and the goals you want to hit? And then they tell you all about the outcomes they want to hit. And then you say, okay, are you okay if I tell you a little bit more about how I help you look better, feel better, move better? And then you differentiate yourself at that point by speaking to your impact based on the outcomes, the desired outcomes they just gave you. And then you could talk about your uniqueness and how you do it. But you can't overwhelm people right up front. That's the right message. You speak to the positive outcomes, the impact your clients get from working with you. Now, that was number one. Now, identifying the clients is down to 15%, but there's still a number of people who have that challenge. And over the past 2 weeks on this live stream and on the Authority Brand podcast, which, by the way, if you text Authority to 55678, you can subscribe to the Authority Brand podcast. It's identifying the right clients. And a lot of people, I say, who's the right clients? And they say it's everyone. Now you got to get radical. You got to get really specific, because if you don't speak to your niche client, to your ideal client, you're speaking to everyone. And when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. But then look at the next one, lead generation process, because you see a lot of people, when they think about brand, they think about logo, they think about color scheme, they think about website. Listen, your branding and sales aren't the same thing. But that lead generation should be the glue that holds them together, because branding should be the fuel you pour on top of your sales to make it explode. And so when you communicate those ideas, you're bringing in leads. You got to put together a process to turn that audience of the right clients. You're delivering the right message. You're speaking to the right clients. Got to turn them into leads that will perhaps come in and purchase your product or service. So you can help them. You help improve people's lives when they become clients of yours. And so you have the branding, which turns into leads, which turns into sales. And a lot of people, they build a brand based around attention and eyeballs, and they don't have that process to then convert that attention from the right people into leads and into paying clients. Now, 25% say all of the above: right message, right clients, lead generation process. Now, here's the deal. What I do is I help entrepreneurs and business owners increase their authority brand exposure to the right clients with the right message to generate the right leads so you can generate the right revenue that you want. If you're interested, text Authority to 55678. Listen, next Thursday, we kick off our 6-week virtual Authority Brand Bootcamp. We have 3 spots left. So if you are interested in learning how to deliver the right message, if that's a challenge for you, if a challenge for you is identifying very specifically the right clients, turning this all into a lead generation process and sales process, then text Authority to 55678 right now. You could schedule a call with me there. I'll get in touch with you. We could talk about you getting one of the final 3 spots in the Authority Branding Bootcamp. Right message, right clients, right leads, right revenue. That's what it's all about. So I'd like to go to folks here. By the way, please feel free, go to my my profile on LinkedIn and vote in the poll. What's your biggest branding challenge? And if you're watching right now, actually throw in the comments, what is your biggest branding challenge right now? And my goodness, if you are having a branding challenge, that means you are having a sales challenge and you're not growing. And right now in this economy, you cannot afford to not grow. So text authority to 55678. What are you waiting for? It ain't just going to come to you. If you are having a problem, if you don't have that branding, lead generation, sales process in place, and you're afraid of texting authority to 55678 because, oh my gosh, Kurt may ask me to take a leap in, to jump. And I watch Kurt every week, and my branding and my lead generation and my sales isn't where it needs to be to grow. And when I don't grow my business, I'm in a hole. I got a mortgage to pay. I got a family I got to take care of. And I'm trying to build this freedom business, but I'm stuck. I'm stuck in that storming phase. And you watch me week after week. Guess what? It's time to text authority to 55678. The way I help you is when you jump in, when you take 2 steps forward and jump in and help yourself. So if you have a branding, lead generation, sales challenge, please jump in. Authority to 55678. Jump in the branding boot camp next week. We help you. Right message, right clients, right leads. So let's see who is joining us right now. Some other people have joined us, wrote some comments. I'm going to answer some questions here. James, grateful for the expanding network of amazing people that share a passion for living. Absolutely. And by the way, if you're just joining us now, if you're watching the archive version, what people are doing is they're not only sharing their name, their cities, their state, their town, where in the world they're joining us from, but at least one thing they're grateful for as well. Dr. Alex asks, how do you brand yourself as an individual with increasing competition? How do you brand yourself with your business? And can they be branded differently? Well, it depends on your business, but here's the deal. A lot of people want to talk about B2B and B2C, but guess what branding and sales is? It's all H to H, human to human, P to P, person to person. When I interviewed Brandon Bornanson on my show a couple of weeks ago, he said, no one wakes up in the morning saying, my goodness, IBM is putting out a white paper today. I can't wait to see that come across the transom in a promoted post on LinkedIn. But you may have a contact who works at IBM who has built up that know, like, and trust factor with you. Know, like, and trust, that factor is the number one reason people buy from you. And so you're more apt to engage with them. That's why building a personal brand is important, whether you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, or whether you're working in a 9-to-5 for corporation XYZ. And Dr. Alex, how do you brand yourself as an individual? Who you are an authority. You are a brand. I got 4 kids. I got a brand and sell every day to them. When you leave the house in the morning, you have a brand. When you pick up the phone, you have a brand. When you're writing a comment, you have a brand. Like it or not, believe it or not, you have a brand. Now, you can either have a commodity brand or an authority brand. And I know that you all want to have an authority brand. And as I said before, your business started as a thought, turned into an idea, manifesting as a business, and your authority lies within those ideas because, Dr. Alex, you improve the lives of other people. You have specific, unique ideas for how to do that. You can line up 10 of your competitors, Dr. Alex, but none of them have the same exact style, ideas, strengths, superpowers as you, the same exact style, the same exact ideas for how you're going to improve the lives of someone else. So therein, within those ideas lies your authority. That's how you build that authority brand. But those questions, Alex, are exactly what we work on with our clients. There is increasing competition. The average human gets hit with about 4,000 to 8,000 ad impressions per day. So if you're just trying to get attention and trying to break through with that, ain't going to happen. You got to clearly identify the right clients. You got to identify the right message that speaks to the impact your clients get from working with you. Then you got to build authenticity by showing up every day and speaking to those clients consistently, factually, truthfully. So I hope that answers your question, Dr. Alex. You can see the questions there. Roy from St. Louis, grateful for the start of the school year and routines. Absolutely, Roy. Appreciate you joining us again. Maria, so tempting to share everything that makes you stand out for the competition. I think it stems from not wanting to miss an opportunity to speak with a potential client, but you are right. It overwhelms people and your words become verbal vomit. 100%. Now, you can speak to your uniqueness once you have that conversation and once you learn the outcomes they want, because here's something very important. What the client wants and what they need are 2 different things. And so many times we are so smart that we want to tell the client, no, here's what you need. But they don't know what they need. So you got to speak to what the client wants. And then as you learn their outcomes, you may learn that they need something completely different than what they want. You may learn, quite honestly, that you're not in a position to help them have the impact that they want, but you can also speak to not only what they want, but how what you provide actually delivers what they need. I say this all the time. I know people who own Teslas who don't give a rat's ass about helping the environment. You know what's funny? They want a cool car. They're looking at buying the Cybertruck, not because it runs on electricity, but because it has bulletproof glass and looks different. And you know what? You rarely hear Elon Musk talk about Tesla in terms of saving the world, helping the environment, because he knows that what people want is different than what they need. And so if he can appeal to what they want and sell a ton of cars, then he can accomplish his mission of sustainability, environmentalism, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of times, yes, we verbally vomit what we think people need to hear, and we lose the sale, we lose the client, we turn people off. So Dr. Alex, I totally agree. How do you get the message you mentioned to the client? Well, Alex, that's an entire process. It's a process we go through in my boot camp. It's a process we go through in my one-on-one consulting. If you want to learn more, please text Authority to 55678 and I'll get in touch with you and we can talk about how to do that. You know, one of the most important things about branding is that when you put out content, what I do is I give the what, but not the how. People pay for the how. And I'm unapologetic about that. But I do thousands of hours of really helping people. And so I don't apologize for that. But yeah, Alex, that process for getting the message to the right client, that's where the gold lies. And that's what we teach in my boot camp and my one-on-one consulting. So let's go on to the next topic. So let's talk about message consistency. You know, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and they say, well, I'm really active on social media. And then I look and they haven't posted anything in like 2 months. Or they post one thing, or they post a couple things over a month and they think that everyone is seeing them and so they don't have to do it. Here's the deal. On LinkedIn, which is my social media network of choice, I think there's like 262 million active users. Let's say 260, have a nice round number. So if I have a video that goes viral and gets 1 million views, guess what? There's still 259 million people who haven't seen my message. But even of those million who have, guess what? They're not going to remember it 20 minutes from now, 24 hours from now. I worked in politics for years, and back then, I assume it's still true, the rule of thumb was if you send a direct mail piece, it takes 6 direct mail pieces to have a behavioral impact on someone. 6 direct mail pieces. I assume it's the same way, especially since you and I get hit with an average of 4,000 to 8,000 impressions of ads per day. That's just ads. That doesn't include all the branding impressions, the live streams like this one, tweets, Facebook messages, things in the mail, whatever it is, phone calls. So that's a lot of people competing for our attention. Hell, I could get a 5 million view video right now and you won't remember it tomorrow. So it takes message consistency, time after time after time. That's why you see companies running the same ad over and over for a year. It takes that much to embed in our brains. I used to joke when we were running ads for a political campaign, the candidates would say, you know what, I'm getting sick of this ad. Let's change the ad. And they would think, we got to have all these ads. We got to change them up. But here's the deal. The candidate and the campaign staff were sick of the ad because they're living it every day. Their reticular activation system is tuned in anytime they see an impression, an ad, a yard sign, a billboard for the candidate. Boom, it's right in their head. But the average Joe, the average Jane isn't thinking about it. They could pass a yard sign, a billboard 100 times without really realizing and seeing the message on that billboard. It's the same with your company. It's the same with you. You got to show up consistently day after day. That's the 4th pillar of building an authority brand, authenticity. You got to show up time and time again. Now, you may say, well, I don't have enough content to do that. Well, I'd quote Gary Vee that says, you know, document, don't create. I put out content every single day because I know that is key to building that know, like, and trust factor. I know that message consistency is absolutely true. Every time I do this live stream, every time I do this podcast, every time I put something out, I see a comment, I see a like, I see a view from someone new. But then there are people who day after day come here. You know how many people reach out to me after seeing my content, after reading my book for a year. They reach out a year later. They've watched me every single week for 1 year, and they finally reach out because perhaps when they started seeing my message and hearing my message and reading my message, they weren't ready for it. Now, if I had just packed up and gone home, I would have missed out on being able to help those people. Message consistency is so very important. It's easy to think, well, I'm seeing my message every day, so they must be seeing my message every day. And that's just not the case. Now, it's important to remember that you got to be consistent with your message to the right client. And identifying that right client is a challenge for so many people. I have 5 pages of questions that I give my clients on how to help them identify the right client. 5 pages of questions. And a lot of my clients are like, why do I get to answer all of those? And I say, I don't know why. Because when you connect the dots between the data points of who is most likely to buy your product or service, of who your ideal client is, the data speaks for itself. And I don't know what that is. Maybe there's a special location, a certain demographic, a certain type of person. I have a client where we found actually a certain type of person of a certain marital status, of a certain age, of a certain religion was more likely to be his ideal client. I don't know why. I don't make the judgment on it. The data just shows that's where it is. So message consistency is so key. Showing up day after day after day, delivering your message to the right clients to build that authenticity, to build that know, like, and trust factor. I have people who message me when I don't do my Friday morning live stream asking where I am. One of those people, by the way, we've been engaging for 2 years, and he finally became a client about a month ago. Message consistency is so key. Now, it's got to be the right message. It's got to be delivered to the right client. So Roy, St. Louis, need versus want comments were so spot on. I appreciate that, Roy. Roy asks, do you see a difference in the brand impact of video versus text post on social media? I think that video can help humanize you, certainly. But more important than the type of media is the message and who your ideal client is, and then your process for delivering it. Listen, there's some people who just are not good on video. There's some people who just can't write. So what I always say is pick one, test it, be consistent with it, more so than the tools and the tactics. See, the importance is building that strong foundation. Your brand can't be a series of tactics and tools in search of a strategy. It's like building a house and picking out the roofing tiles and the paint colors first. If that's where you start, the house is going to fall down. You got to have that strong foundation. So video versus text, et cetera. And by the way, that could change. What you want to do is you want to build a brand built on timeless principles, which I call the 4 pillars of building an authority brand. Because you know what? If you build them on those principles were true 25 years ago, and they will be true 25 years from today. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn might not be around in 3 or 4 years. Doesn't matter. If you build your brand on those strong principles with a strong foundation, the tools and the tactics don't matter. Video versus text versus voice will not matter. Right message, right clients, then putting together that process using the tools that exist. A lot of people declared picking up the phone dead until a little thing called COVID came away. I pick up my phone and I call for an hour every single day. And there are people who will tell you that cold calling is dead. You know why the reason they do that? Because they're selling something else. There are people who will tell you that video views and likes and shares are the key to building a strong brand. You know what they're selling? Video views and likes and shares. There are people out there who will tell you, I have this email scraping tool, and if you're not using it, you will not build a strong brand. You know why? They're selling that specific tool. I call those people vendors. You know what? They're important. What they do is wonderful, but they're not brand strategists. They're not brand coaches. What they're selling is surface level. The quality of Ernest Hemingway's novels was not determined by the type of typewriter he used. The quality of your brand, the strength of your brand will not be determined by video or text or written. It will not be determined by LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook. It will be determined by whether or not You have your ideal client specifically, I mean, radically identified, whether or not you have that right message crafted, and whether or not you know how to deliver that right message to the right clients. And then, and only then, do the tools and tactics come in. So I know we're running over today, which is fine. There's no time limit, right? But I want to end by talking about the hustle and grind pornographers. And it's something I write about in my book, 5 Pillars of the Freedom Lifestyle, which you can get at fivepillarsofreedom.com. We're actually coming up on the year anniversary, September 23rd, of the release of that book. But a lot of folks, especially now, will tell you, man, you got to hustle, you got to grind. And you know what? They're part right. Because see, what a lot of people take that message out of context, and what they do is they hustle and grind themselves into the ground. See, I say you got to get in a state of flow. You have to, as Bruce Lee, as the Tao Te Ching talks about, be more like water. Get in that state of flow. You know, every year around Christmas, my dad and I, we would go into the attic and we get the Christmas lights. And no matter how nicely you put together those lights the previous Christmas, what would happen? They'd all be tied together. And I would usually try to take it and pull it apart. My dad would say, no, no, no. That's going to make it tougher to unravel the lights. What you have to do is give some slack. Don't force it. Because when you give it some slack, it's easier to unravel. Guess what? Your life is the same way. Your business is the same way. When we only think in terms of hustle and grind, and life is just about knocking down walls, we tense up. And often we shut off our creativity, because life then is just about cortisol rush. And when you just have that constant cortisol rush, you are actually stupider. You're less creative. You're only thinking with your subconscious instead of your conscious. When you get in that state of flow, when you flow like water, guess what? You're more apt to think creatively, to tap into your conscious mind. That's when the solutions come forth. That's when you are most likely to use humanity's greatest resource, which is our ability to think creatively, our ability to think critically. So the hustle and grind pornographers are part correct, because you can work hard while working smart. But I know a lot of people who hustle themselves and grind their way right off a cliff. They're not thinking creative and critically. So they put their head down and they hustle and grind with no strategy, with no foundation. And what happens is, at the end of a year, 2, 3, 4 years, they're exhausted. They've destroyed their health. They've destroyed their marriage. They've destroyed their relationships, and their business hasn't grown either. So I'm not against hard work. My gosh, anyone who knows me knows I work my ass off. But I built a 7-figure agency, and I shut it down at peak revenue to save my health, to save my relationships, because I hustle. And man, I was grinding for 14 years, and I grew to hate my life. I grew to hate my business. I was destroying my relationships and my health. And I shut it down at peak revenue. And for the past 3 years, I have been in a state of flow every day, because I focus on helping people. I focus on building a freedom lifestyle according to how I define that freedom lifestyle. And you've got to define what it is for you. But the way you get there isn't just to hustle and grind blindly. It's not just to listen to those hustle and grind pornographers who will tell you that you just put your head down, you eat shit, and you grind away and you dig ditches. Because so many people are so busy chopping down trees in the forest, they haven't stopped to realize and think critically. They're chopping down 100 trees when they only need to chop down 2. Or they're in the wrong damn forest, right? So that's the message I'd like to leave you with today on this Freedom Friday. Chris Pra joining us. Wow, you're in West Virginia now on the Ohio River. Thanks for the insight, Kurt Mercadante. Thank you so much, Chris. Chris, I don't know if you know this, but we're actually selling our home, and next month we're hitting the road indefinitely. I don't know for how long, but we're taking our 4 kids and we're going to live in Airbnbs and VRBOs. We're going to travel. We're going to see this great country of ours. And if and when the borders open up, we're going to travel. That's what freedom means to us. You may think, not you, Chris, but some people watching, I know there's people in my family who think that's crazy. Why would someone want to do that? And I have empathy for them because they have a different mindset. They're in a different place. They have different programming. But don't be surprised. If you listen to the Freedom Mindset Radio podcast today, the message is this. I ask people on my podcast, what does freedom mean to you? And the key part of that question is, what does it mean to you? Not what does it mean to your parents? What does it mean to your boss? What does it mean to society? What does it mean to you? And you have to realize when you tell other people what freedom means to you, they may mock you. They may laugh at you. They may not understand it. They may look at you weird. They may talk behind your back. I know this happens to us right now. Certainly, when you decide to live that freedom lifestyle, others may do the same thing. Have empathy for those people and understand they're in a different place. It's easy to get angry. It's human to get angry. My gosh, my first inclination is to get angry. But that anger can be like a prison. So realize they're in a different place from you. And don't try to convince or convert them. But by living your freedom lifestyle the way you want to live it, you will serve as a beacon, as an example to them that maybe they should make the decision to live their freedom lifestyle as well. Listen, I know we went over today. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Roy, got to jump to another meeting. Great way to start the Friday. Thanks as always to you, Roy. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Dr. Alex. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, James. Thank you, Kim from Charlotte. Thank you, everyone who has joined us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter. We'll be back here next Friday at 9:30 a.m., but we will be on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and LinkedIn in the meantime as well, posting consistent content every single day that we hope helps you. Now, if you want some free goodies, text Authority to 55678. Latest webinar I have up there is Leveling Up Your LinkedIn. You can subscribe to the Authority Brand podcast as well. And if you join us later today or tomorrow, the archive version, don't let that stop you from jumping in, sharing your name, your city, your state, your town, and at least one thing you are grateful for. I want to thank you so much for joining this Freedom Friday live stream. My name is Kurt Mercadante, wishing you a day, a weekend, a life of freedom and abundance.